and I'm going to call your case. I call for hearing Hale County cause number A454152410, stalled in the interest of Yanali Yuri Rosas. We're here today on the Attorney General's original petition in suit affecting the parent-child relationship originally filed in Hale County on October 15th of 2024 and docketed before the 64th District Court of Hale County, Texas, being heard by order of referral by the Associate Judge for Child Support Matters. Is the Attorney General's office ready to proceed, Mr. Budashek?
Ready, Your Honor.
All right. And Ricardo Rosas Jr., are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Yurima Alvarez Ramirez, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right. And I understand that the parties have had an opportunity to meet with the Attorney General's office and that an agreement has been reached on most issues, save visitation following expiration of the currently existing protective order. Is that correct, Mr. Bunishek?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Do you have a copy of the protective order, Mr. Bunishek?
I do.
Okay. And you're going to be offering that as an exhibit in this case, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. All right. If you would please, let's go ahead and announce the agreement, the agreed portions of this matter before the court today.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I've had the opportunity to consult with both parties. They've arrived at the following agreements as to the issues before the court today. Mr. Rosas is the father of the child Yanali as established by the acknowledgement of paternity. The parties will be, Ms. Alvarez will be the sole managing conservator for the child and may determine her residence without geographic restriction. Mr. Rosas will be a possessory conservator of the child. Visitation provisions are in the currently existing protective order that will be admitted at the hearing, although for the court's information, the current visitation order calls for Mr. Rosas to have visitation with the child no more than 1 hour per week at the Crisis Center of the Plains. Mr. Rosas's current gross monthly income is, sorry, Judge, $4,322.50.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
That's $4,322.50. Mr. Rosas will obtain medical coverage and dental coverage through his employment for Yanali. The estimated cost of that is $150 for the medical insurance per month and $75 for the dental insurance per month. Giving him credit for those payments and for the income taxes leaves him with a monthly net of $34.18. And there are no other children that Mr. Rosas is obligated to support. The guideline percentage is 20%. And so guideline 20% of the $34.18 is $684 per month. However, the parties have agreed that since the electrical bill is in Mr. Rosas' name at $120 a month, he will continue to pay that $120 a month, and he will pay $564 for the child support beginning February 1st, 2025. There's also a retroactive judgment for $5,361. Mr. Rosas will repay that at the rate of $100 per month, also beginning February 1st, 2025.
Okay, could you repeat the retro amount again? 5,000?
361.
Okay.
And he'll pay 100 per month.
Okay.
And that is the agreement of the parties, Judge.
Zero note. And I guess I'm assuming since there's a protective order, there will be a non-disclosure finding by the court.
I'm sorry, I didn't cover that, Your Honor, but in consultation with Ms. Alvarez, she's indicated that Mr. Rosas already knows where she lives. In fact, her address is on the protective order because he needs to know what to stay away from. And so she said that there's not a need for a non-disclosure order.
Okay. All right, Ms. Rosas, Mr. Rosas, Ms. Alvarez Ramirez, if you could please raise your right hands. Do you each swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give in the cause before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Ms. Alvarez Ramirez,
Yes.
Mr. Rosas,
I swear everything that I have put on there is the truth, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
I swear that everything I have put on there is the truth.
Okay, well, we're not talking about anything you put on there. We're talking about your testimony here today. So the answer to the question is either yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Were you both able to hear Mr. Benishek just now when he read your agreement into the record? Mr. Rosas?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez Ramirez?
Yes.
Did that sound like it was accurate as far as what you believe you've agreed to here today, Mr. Rosas?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez Ramirez?
Yes.
Are you each asking me to approve this agreement as a part of the order that will issue from the court here today because it would be in the best interest of your child? Ms. Alvarez Ramirez?
Yes.
Mr. Rosas?
Yes.
Okay, I will approve the agreements that have been made and announced and confirmed under oath. Now the only issue, I guess, is the visitation that will be ordered by the court upon expiration of the existing protective order. So Mr. Benishek, you may proceed to present evidence on that issue.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Yurima Alvarez.
Ms. Alvarez Ramirez, you've been called to the witness stand. You already have been placed under oath. You are still under oath. And so Mr. Benishek, you may proceed.
All right, Ms. Alvarez, you are currently the protectee in a protective order in Hale County. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Your Honor, I would offer into evidence the protective order. I'm trying to get it into your OneDrive right now. It's been filed with the district clerk of Hale County. I offer that as State's Exhibit number 1.
Okay, is it in a different cause number? Is that the deal?
Let me take a look at it real quick, Judge. 1 second. There we go. Clause number is B44934-2310. So it's in the.
It's probably better if it's already filed. It's better to just have me take judicial notice of it, so we're not filing it into this cause number and causing confusion.
Okay.
Does anybody object to me taking judicial notice of the protective order? No? All right.
No objection, Judge.
I will take judicial notice of it.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. All right. Ms. Alvarez, has Mr. Rosas ever exercised visitation under that protective order?
No, sir.
Okay. So he hasn't seen Yaneli in how long?
The last time he seen her was on September 30th, the night of the incident, October 1st.
Okay.
It's been over a year, 2023.
Okay, so it's September of 2023, so it's been well over a year then. Do you want Mr. Rosas to have visitation with Yaneli?
Yes, I want him to have access to her.
Okay. Are you concerned that since he hasn't seen her in a very long time, that they need a reintroduction period to each other?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any idea how you would like that reintroduction to go? I discussed a phased-in visitation plan.
Yeah.
Would you like to do something like that?
Yeah, something like, because it's going to be 2 years after the protective order does come off, and she hasn't seen him physically. So I'm just like, I just want her to feel safe and like a little escalation to it, because she
Okay.
is very much attached to me. Like even for childcare, just for me to leave her over at night so I can go to work, she cries, she throws a tantrum. But um, it's just gonna be an adjustment for her because she's had me as her parent for 2 years, and we're always together. So it's just gonna be an adjustment for her to just go see him. I don't know how she's gonna react. I don't know if she. I just don't know her behavior towards it.
Okay. So you'd like to start with possibly supervised visitation so that she feels safe and you feel safe.
No, mainly for her, so she can feel safe and so she can have an adjustment. My only concern would be just like uh, not knowing, like after the supervised visit, because I don't know what he would consider safe environment for her, or like what kind of environment he would expose her to. So at the moment, I would just like her to just to start off small and just adapt to him.
Okay. You might have to explain a little bit farther when you're saying what kind of environment he would expose her to. What kind of environment are you concerned about her being exposed to?
Well, his family, his father's side is very they normalize certain behavior that I just don't consider that should be normalized. So I don't he's a great dad. When it comes to him being a father, he's a great father. It's just there's some environments that his family is I don't consider safe, or I don't consider should be normalized for a child to have in their lifestyle.
Okay.
That's my only concern.
Okay. Now you understand that we're looking to make possession orders and visitation orders for your child. And in order to not have her exposed to whatever it is you're worried about her being exposed to, the judge needs to know specifically.
Details? Oh, his father's an alcoholic. He drinks from morning to night. They consume drugs. He's in and out of jail. Ricardo Rosas has been in and out of jail since I was pregnant with Yana Lee. He's not consistent. He's not stable financially, physical, like environmental wise.
Okay.
Okay, let's pause just 1 second here. So I'm not pulling up, either I wrote the number down wrong or you gave it to me wrong. And also this protective order is not in the OneDrive, so I need to be able to see the protective order. The number you gave me, that I wrote down, and I may have made a mistake, is B44934231.
It's 2310, but I'm
Ah,
putting OneDrive right now so that you can have a
okay.
copy there too. Sorry, let me this up here. There we go.
Okay, I am hearing your testimony though, Ms. Alvarez.
Okay.
And now, in addition to what you've just been talking about, the environment that you're concerned about Yanali being in, do you feel safe being around Mr. Rosas doing the supervising?
I feel very safe and capable, um, because he's only not safe when he's intoxicated. But when he's sober and in his 10 senses, he's perfect to be around with. Like he's very cordial, very respectful. But the only time I would feel unsafe around him would be when he would be intoxicated.
Okay.
But besides that, like I don't feel like he would show up to a meeting with his daughter intoxicated. That does not seem like something he would do, to my knowledge. But besides, like I feel safe when he's sober.
Are you concerned today with him having her alone, that he might become intoxicated?
I don't have um any information of him, like knowing if he actually went to anger management classes, if he actually has done the work for himself. I don't know his lifestyle. It's been over a year. But in the past, what I've known is that he does fall back into certain patterns that he was shown as a child. So I don't feel safe for him to have her unsupervised yet.
Okay. But you think that in the future he would be able to, but you want to sort of work your way toward that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I hope in the future he would become he would show signs that he's capable of having his daughter with him in a safe
Okay.
environment.
And if not you doing the supervising, is there any other person that you can think of, a relative
Well,
or anything like that, who would be able to do the supervising?
yeah, my family cares a lot for him. My immediate family cares more for him than they do for me. um, they, my mom is available. My brother-in-law Noel, like Mr. Rosas has not access, but he's had like relationship with my past. We were together since 2015 on and off, so he has established a relationship with my immediate family, with my in-laws. Like I have my brother-in-law who's married to my sister. He has access to my sister. My sister Eudalis would be happy to be there. My mom would be happy to be there. I don't have much family. It's just my mom and my sisters. But those are the main three people that I could think of that he would be comfortable with, if not me.
Okay. And can you think of a public place that that the supervised visits could take place?
Okay, hang on just a second. Before we go any farther with this, I just have these burning questions about this. First of all, there is visitation ordered. There's visitation ordered right now. If Mr. Rosas wants to see this child, he can see the child. There's visitation ordered through the crisis center. Is there some reason that visitation is not being exercised?
I have a feeling that Mr. Rose's testimony would elaborate on that. When I spoke to him, he indicated that he travels for his job, and so he's not able to be here as often as he could, to take advantage of that visitation. That's my impression anyway. So I would let him elaborate on
Before we
that.
go too far down the line of arranging supervised visitation through a family member, I probably am not going to be willing to go forward on visitation following the protective order on something like that, unless Mr. Rosas exercises the visitation that the court granted him. And the fact that he's not done that in a year, I mean, I understand people are busy and things, are difficult sometimes, and maybe he can explain it further. But I will just tell you that I'm having an issue with this as far as him not having seen the child, and if there's a concern about the child not being familiar with him, then that visitation probably needs to go forward before we start talking about an elaborate schedule for after the protective order ends. Okay. All right. So
All right. I think then I should go ahead and close with Ms. Alvarez and call Mr. Rosas.
Ms. Alvarez, do you have anything you want to add to explain about the testimony? Your testimony?
No, I do. I would understand the crisis, why I don't want to be so hard on him, but like the crisis center would charge him. And I want to be considerate. Like I understand, like if he's not able to like pay the fee.
Well, I don't imagine it's a huge charge, but for someone that makes this as much money as he makes, I don't, I mean, there are priorities in life, and I don't imagine it's a big charge, but for periodic visitation. So, but anyway, we can ask him about that. I will ask you though, what happened that precipitated this protective order? What was the incident that happened?
He broke my nose. It's literally crooked still. Anyways, he broke my nose. He was we were at a baby shower, and he was really intoxicated, and I was trying to go home. And when he's intoxicated, he doesn't like me. But when he's sober, he's perfect. When he's sober, he's a loving father, a loving partner. But when he was intoxicated, he flipped on me, and I was just trying to guide him to the car. One thing led to another, and I ended up with a fractured nose in 2 different places.
Okay. And so the police came, I'm assuming, and
No.
No, the police didn't come?
What happened was I took my daughter saw the whole scene. That's why it's also like gonna be an adjustment, because she went from having a loving dad to seeing this incident to not seeing him at all. So I'm mainly concerned for her. I don't really concerned about me, but the incident, what happened was I took myself to the hospital. I took my daughter to my mom's, dropped her off, took myself to the hospital. I wasn't gonna press charges. I was gonna make a report, but then I left him where he was at. I took myself to the emergency. He ended up going to the nearest convenience store, called the police on himself, admitted to the crime, admitted to hitting me, and he booked himself in. I personally wasn't going to charge him because it was just intoxication and the rage and then he's the father of my child. Like, I don't want to see him in any harm. So I was just going to report it. But then he escalated it he admitted to the crime, he called the cops, and then his dad, not him, his dad threatened me, saying that I was lying and all of the above. So, and he threatened to take my child and all this. And then when Mr. Rosas is around his father has a lot of control over his mind. He will flip him.
Okay. So when you said he threatened to take your child, did you mean Mr. Rosas or his Mr. Ricardo Rosas Jr. or Senior?
Senior.
Okay.
And then I don't know, Senior had threatened me, and then Rosas Jr. wasn't really defending what really happened, and he was mainly like hiding from the situation and denying everything that had occurred that night. So I was like, I don't feel safe. And then his family has a reputation of violence and like them figuring things out. So I felt very unsafe with just the way they just came up to me and spoke to me and threatened me, and then threatened to take my kid. So I put up the protective order, because it is a pattern for Mr. Rosas, like to have intoxicated nights and just to become very violent.
Mr. Rosas Jr. is a pattern for him.
Mr. Rosas Jr. The senior has been like this all his life. Junior, I guess what he sees or what was deemed normalized to him, he absorbed whatever he was shown as a child and not really shown how to cope with certain emotions and how to cope in a healthy way, not to use alcohol, not to use drugs. He never was shown how to cope. So I just feel very unsafe for the senior having a lot of control over junior.
Okay. All right. I understand. Okay. And I'm sorry that I know it was a traumatic incident for you, and I'm sorry that you had to go through it and the child did. But
I've coped with it. Like, it's been a year. I've learned to live with it. What happened with me and him, it happened as us as partners. But as a father, I don't want to take away. As a father, when he's able to be a father, he's a great father. Like, my daughter loves him. Currently, till this day, she talks about him. Her way of coping with not having him, she imagined him. She'll make a stuffed pillow and say, "This is my dad." Okay. So it's hard for me to see her like trying to cope with not having him. So I'm trying to like allow there to be visitation and connections between them. But it's just gonna be hard to trust the process. That's basically it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, Mr. Benishek.
Okay, I'll call Ricardo Rosas.
Mr. Rosas, if you would please raise your right hand. I'm sorry, we already swore you in when we talked about the agreement. So you're already under oath, and you've been called to the witness stand. Mr. Benishek.
All right, Mr. Rosas, you've been here, you've listened to the what's been testified to already. Uh, uh, can you explain why you haven't taken advantage of the visitation in the past year to see Yanali?
Basically, I just left town because there's a bunch of got going on in Plainview.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. You speak more clearly, speak louder, get closer to the phone.
Basically, there's a lot going on in Plainview for me. I mean, I really don't know how to go around it. Now I have new charges. My own self let him slip up. Now I have warrants. I'm basically on the road, no home. I'm torn to shreds. I don't know what I'm doing in life. Like, I'm trying my best. I'm doing what I can. Me going far as excess in my rights. I've been slowly stopping drinking. My smoking's fallen. Signed up for classes.
Okay, let's let Mr. Benishek ask questions, and then you can answer the questions. So I know he asked you sort of a broad question, but I think a lot of the things you're talking about don't have anything to do with exercising visitation. So go ahead, Mr. Benishek.
Okay. Now you mentioned it sounds like not really having a place to stay. Where are you living right now?
Hotel room to hotel room.
Okay. And hotel room to hotel room, where? Are you still in Texas?
Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, here in New Orleans, over to Texas, up in Oklahoma.
Okay.
State to state.
And is there a reason why you're going on that circuit? Is that someplace you're going for your work, or is it for some other reason, or are you just kind of drifting?
It's for work. The company I'm with, Cellular Services, we upgrade anything around anywhere. We just go place to place.
Okay, upgrade like cell towers or cell equipment or what?
Buildings, more off stadiums.
Okay.
Hotels, hospitals.
Okay, so you work for a cell company improving signals, I think you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you just go where the work needs you.
Yes, sir. Wherever they tell me to go to, that's where I travel.
Okay, so in the past year, how much time would you say you've been in Plainview?
About 3 days.
Okay, so you haven't even been in town to take advantage of the visitation in the crisis center?
No, sir. I stay away from Plainview. Plainview is bad luck for me.
Okay.
I caught myself into a circle if I go to Plainview.
All right. And so partly because of your work and partly because you just feel like Plainview is bad for you, you've stayed away from Plainview?
Yes, sir.
And is that a reason why you haven't seen Yanali in a year, or is there something else going on too?
Pretty much that's it. I want to go to Plainview, but every time I go, like she says, police officers just come after me.
Okay. Do you want to have visitation with Yanali in the future?
I do. I do want to have, and I do understand I need to grow up, so I'm going to do what I need to do.
Okay. But you understand Ms. Alvarez's concerns, especially if you don't have a steady address with you having regular visitations. Do you have any ideas on how you can visit with Yanali?
Other than family members, calling family members who's in town, who's not in town, and then I have to check in and see if everything clears. If the person I choose is a fit, then I mean we could work around that. But
okay, all right, but you're willing to work, to do the work, to do the legwork, to make some visitation happen?
Yes, sir.
In the past, you just haven't been here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And as far as the supervision goes, If you did, after the protective order expired, if you were granted some visitations that were supervised, would you feel comfortable with Ms. Alvarez doing the supervising?
Maybe not her specifically, maybe a family member.
Okay. Do you know of any family members that you would feel comfortable with?
Any that she feels comfortable with would be fine with me.
Okay. So you're okay with anybody from her family?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Judge, I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Rosas, are you still drinking, sir?
No, ma'am. It's currently been 2 weeks, and that past time was about maybe like 2 shots. I'm just not feeling up to it no more. I think life is just catching up to me, and it's just like drowsing out.
Okay. Have you enrolled in Alcoholics Anonymous or anything like that?
I have, but with my personality, I can't seem to sit there and like listen to anybody else because I try to stay out of everybody's business, and I'm just I need to snap out of that because there is other people out there that I need to worry about and start thinking about.
Okay.
Other than myself, and maybe let their stories like kind of recreate my. If that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Did protective order ordered you to go to a batter prevention class? Have you done that class?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And your testimony is you've gotten new charges in Plainview. What new charges have you gotten?
Aggravated assault. Not. I don't think aggravated assault. Just
Aggravated
violent,
assault.
family violence.
Okay.
Or it's just family violence. That was the one.
Okay.
And then not.
Wait, hang on.
Not,
Is Miss Alvarez the victim of that charge?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is this from the incident that precipitated the protective order?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what other charges do you have other than charges involving that incident?
Not showing up to court, and then there was like some other ones. But it's because I have family members that are like police officers.
Failure to appear? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that didn't have to do with you being in Plainview. That had to do with you not being where you were supposed to be in Plainview. Isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I still don't understand why, if you're traveling around staying in hotel rooms, why you can't stay in a hotel room in Plainview and exercise this visitation through the crisis center. Can you explain that to me?
I mean, like I'm basically saying, it's Plainview. I probably wouldn't have made it the whole week without actually losing myself or, falling into a drunken habit.
Okay, so you emotionally can't stand to be in Plainview? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am. Every corner I hit, there's a different person there that I can get things from, and I need to stay away from that. That's not.
I understand. I understand staying away from things that cause you problems, but your child lives in Plainview, so I don't know how you want to visit with the child when you're telling me you can't go to Plainview.
Maybe Lubbock. Can I try Lubbock? I don't know if I can move as close to Lubbock and then try to like travel to Plainview, then travel back. I mean, that could be a possibility I could throw in the air. A few months from now, get myself established.
The visit at the crisis center is, I think, only an hour, so you certainly could stay in Lubbock or Amarillo or Tulia or any place around Plainview and drive in for the visit and leave. Basically, you haven't done anything under the protective order. I understand, and Miss Alvarez wants you to have a relationship with the child. The child wants to have a relationship with you. And I think it's important for a child to have a relationship with a father, but you're going to have to meet us halfway here, sir. I mean, I don't know. I think she's trying to help you, in
understand.
trying to help the child to have a relationship with her father. But you can't just do nothing for 2 years under the protective order and then say, okay, well, now I want to see the child full time. It just doesn't work that way.
No, I understand. I'm not trying to force anything, saying, "Oh, yeah, I could do that," or like I can like manually come all the way over there, because it's gonna take at least what 3-4 months that I was supposed to have done
Yeah.
for the alcohol and aggressive class.
Okay.
Like I personally do understand. It's just traveling all the way to Plainview, and then me being about 3-4 states away. That's about 20 hours worth of drive time, and then
Well, you're not always 3 or 4 states away. I mean, you're closer. I mean, Oklahoma City's not that far. But okay. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. Unless anybody has additional testimony I need to hear.
I think that's everything from us, Your Honor.
Ms. Alvarez, is there anything else you want to tell me?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Rosas, is there anything else you want to tell me?
no, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to order that, the visitation is the visitation under the protective order, and I can't change that. But Mr. Rosas needs to comply with the protective order. He needs to take the battering intervention. He needs to abstain from using alcohol. And he needs to do some of the visits under the protective order. Upon expiration of the protective order, I will order once a month visits, afternoon visits on a Saturday of his choice, at the home of a relative of Miss Alvarez of her choosing. Is that okay, Miss Alvarez? Is your family comfortable with him coming to their house to visit with this child?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. And so you will need to, can you guys communicate with each other? I'll order you to communicate through a co-parenting application called AppClose, AppClose. It's on it's on the App Store for both Apple and other carriers. You download it, sign up for it, and you guys can communicate that way. I guess you can't communicate until the protective orders, expires in any other way, but you can communicate on the co-parenting app. I don't know that there's a reason to communicate until the protective order expires, because all the visitation is through the crisis center and they'll communicate with each of you. So that's what we'll do going forward. Once Mr. Rosas has done 6 months of those types of visits with Miss Alvarez's family supervising in the afternoon, he can have a little more visitation. Assuming he's done at least 6 of those, and that he has remained sober and that he has an appropriate place for the child to stay, he can have the child on an overnight visit from Saturday at 6 to Sunday at 6. He'll, on a Saturday and Sunday of his choice, once he's done 6 of those, the child will be 8 years old or so. She can tell you if there's something going on that's wrong, and he can have the standard possession order if you think that's appropriate. Miss Alvarez, do you think that's going to be appropriate, assuming he has remained sober? And I don't know how to verify that. I would say if you believe that he's not sober, you can deny visitation. It sounds like to me alcohol is your enemy, Mr. Rosas, and you need to stay away from it. I know it's difficult, but there are resources out there to help you with that. But alcohol, it appears to me from this brief hearing, is ruining your life. And you need to stay away from it if at all possible. Okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this will give you something to work toward. I would, again, order you to follow the protective order and at least see your child. She needs you. She needs to see you. She's, imagining she sees you, and I'm sure she misses you. So I would encourage you to exercise that visitation and to do what the crisis center says. Miss Alvarez, if you feel comfortable doing more visitations sooner once the protective order ends, you can do that. That's up to you. It'll say at the top, absent mutual agreement of the parties. So if you agree to, more sooner, you can do that. But, safety is the most important thing. And, we can't risk the safety of this child or of Miss Alvarez or any of her family members. So I would encourage you, Miss Alvarez, if there's a problem, don't hesitate to call the police. Protect yourself and the child. That's foremost. But the child also needs to have a relationship with her father. And I hope that can be accomplished in the future. Okay?
Yeah, I hope the same thing. Everything lays on his side. I'm not withholding anything. It's just he has to work for it. It's been over a year and he still hasn't been established with he doesn't have a kid to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about childcare.
Okay. All right. So I am going to approve the agreement. I will adopt it as the agreement, as the order of the court today. The visitation that I announced will be the visitation. Court costs will be taxed against Mr. Rosas as billed by the district clerk of Hale County, Texas. I think that's everything, Mr. Benishek. I left anything out?
I believe that's all our issues. For clarification, I want to make sure that I get everything right in the order. So he'll do the 6 afternoon visits, 1 Saturday a month. Is there going to be a definite number of visitations, of the overnight visitations before it goes to a standard possession order? 6 of those as well? Okay. Okay, perfect. I think that's it.
All right. Do you both understand the visitation?
Yeah. So the first 6 months after the protective order has been relinquished or expired, it's 6 months, one time a month, Saturday of his choosing, and after those 6 times, another 6 months of testing the waters to see if he has overnights.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's after what? After he's established.
Well, he needs to be sober. He needs to be attending meetings, is showing that he is sober. So he needs to show to you that he is sober. He needs to satisfy you that he is sober before the child spends the night with him. Yes.
So if I feel like I have to say something, be like, hey, she can't stay the night. You're drunk.
Exactly.
I can.
I'm going to leave it up to you to make the determination of whether he's sober. Okay. Because I can't. There's really no if it were drugs, there's testing for that, but there's really no testing for alcohol. So I don't know. I can't make him prove to you he's sober, but I feel like you will know if he's sober or not. You'll be able to tell.
Yeah.
And if not, the child will tell you because she's old enough.
Yeah, no, she's very well spoken.
So the caveat is he's gotta do 6 months. He can't do a month and then not do, not see the child for another 5 months and then say, okay, well, the 6 months is up. There can't be more than 30 days, let's say 45 days between the visits, or he starts back at number 1. Okay.
Okay.
And that goes the same for the one overnight, the Saturday to Sunday, once he gets to that phase. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And again, if I know that things can change rapidly sometime, and he may change and be a new man, and you may feel comfortable. And if that's the case, you can make that decision. But you're going to be the one observing what's going on. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Every party to a hearing before the associate judge is entitled to a new or de novo hearing in front of the referring court. The new or de novo hearing must be requested in writing. The request must be filed within 3 days of the notice of the substance of my ruling and served on the other parties to this action. It must specify what issues will be heard by the referring court. The referring court will set a hearing within 30 days, but the requesting party must obtain a setting from the court. If one party asks for a de novo, any other party may ask for one within 3 days of the initial request. No one asks for a de novo. My order becomes an order of the referring court by operation of law without need for further ratification 3 days from today's date. Ms. Alvarez